We're going to take a look here at the right-click context-sensitive menu with Caddie. And this menu, if we just go to the settings here and mouse button setup, we'll see that it comes on the right single click. And we have options here for choosing object selection, pattern selection or none on the left click, and so on with left double click. And on the right click single click we have either the snap menu or the context sensitive menu. I'll stick with the context sensitive menu there, and we'll notice that when we right click, the menu follows us around. It gives us access to, in this instance, basic commands because we have nothing on our drawing selected. The menu, as the name suggests, will change to reflect the things that we have selected and are working with on our drawing. So let's take a look at what we have. Zoom box, drag an area around the things we want to look at. We can use the zoom last and the other tools as well, but we'll just get to zoom last there. So the scroll wheel for zooming and panning. We have our snap modes. So rather than having just the snap modes on the right click, we have freehand, which will allow us to snap anywhere in our drawing, or auto snap, which we can configure to have any of the snap modes here. So these are the additional snap modes. And you notice that we can configure the auto snap from the right click context sensitive menu as well, where we can choose any particular snapping point that we want, including origins for hatches and dimensions and so on. Back to the right click context sensitive menu. The next one down we have is option end. Now option end is the termination of a part of a command. So if a command is multi-leveled, then maybe there's a selection of a polygon. Option end will close off that selection of the polygon and move you on to the next phase of the command. It can be used for finishing drawing polylines without closing them, for instance, as well as the escape key. We then have quick select. Quick select is a way of identifying selecting or unselecting objects within our drawing without having to go and search for them one by one. We can take a little look at that later. Object properties. Object properties gives us access to find out what particular elements we have on our drawing. So blocks, lines, and if we select them, we get the object properties there displaying what we actually have selected at that point. Going to option end that. I could press escape and it would do the same job there, and we're back to our simple menu. Then we'll notice that we have paste from clipboard. If we have anything on the clipboard, we can take it there. This menu will also, as we select things on our drawing, introduce other tools. So let's take a look at that. If we select a couple of objects here and right click, we'll notice that the menu now has further options for us. As well as all the snap modes and the option end, we can cut and copy to the clipboard. The clipboard, incidentally, the copy there, as opposed to the copy here, will allow us to copy between drawings or into different applications as opposed to just within the same drawing that we're currently working with. But if we choose move, we can elect to move objects. So we pick a point by which we want to grab them and we'll move them there. The grips, incidentally, give us access to move our lines around. If we have two objects with a common grip, it will allow us to move the points together, acting as a stretch. If we select the two objects, two lines there, and we move up, we'll see that the dimension hasn't changed with it, whereas if we choose the dimension as well as the lines, it will adjust. In selecting objects for use with the context sensitive menu, we can drag rectangles for selection. Now, with no other command selected, we will be in rectangle or object selection mode. If you are far enough away from an object that it doesn't actually pick up that object, it will be in rectangle selection mode. Choose a rectangle from left to right and it will only take the things that are enclosed within that rectangle. If we take a rectangle from right to left, it will select anything that's inside it or cut by that rectangle. If we're wanting, just press escape there, if we're wanting to select and we're at a point where it will keep selecting a particular object, we can press the number 1 on the keyboard and then it will force it into rectangle selection mode. Having selected our object, so we can copy, we can rotate, we can scale, we can mirror, and we can explode objects. And we'll take a look at those in a little more depth in another tutorial. Options we have here, also the make block, make pattern, make symbol, make scope selected. Again, these are worthy of consideration under another tutorial, but suffice to say here that it gives us access to creating blocks, to creating groups of objects that we can work with, to storing things on the hard disk, so the symbol there, or just selecting the objects we want to work with at a current time with make scope selected, where we can turn off everything else on the drawing. Scope, all layers, all layers will give us back our drawing as a whole. So that's a little introduction to the context sensitive menu. We can look at it in a little more depth in another tutorial.